All right, it's 5 past. Got about 60 people or so. I think we're ready to kick off. This session is being recorded as well. If anyone wants this afterwards, it can be found on YouTube. And as usual, I will be sharing the slide deck afterwards. So you can all see the slide deck. I'm going to say that's a yes. Excellent, thank you. All right, let's kick off. So first up, welcome everybody to this August installment of the Skype and Teams user group. We are also welcoming the Brisbane Skype and Teams user group members along as well. So in previous user groups, I've gone to Brisbane and looked after that one as well. Given that it's a virtual event at the moment, kind of made sense to bring everybody together. So welcome everybody from north and south. Our agenda today, so I'll kick off with the usual Skype and Teams news and updates. It's going to be a pretty fast-paced session. Try to get through that as quickly as possible. Around 4:30, we're then going to hear from Wright, who is the Advanced Workloads Lead at Microsoft Australia, and he's going to take us through Microsoft's vision for meetings in the new world as we find ourselves in today. Straight after that, we're going to have a session from James Arber looking at direct routing, Telstra calling for Office 365, and potentially how they could be used together. And we're going to finish up with the Yealink showcase. So we're lucky enough to have Miki, Tang and Tong from Yealink on the call today, and they'll be showing us everything that Yealink have recently released from a Teams device perspective. All right, let's get into it. So for those that don't know me, my details can be found here. Again, this slide deck will be shared. So if you want any of the information in these slides afterwards, there is a few hyperlinks through the slides as well. Don't worry, you'll get a copy of the slides afterwards. So you can find me here if you want to get in touch. And let's get right into the Teams updates. So first up, meeting attendance reports. So in this section, we're going to go through a lot of the new features and capabilities that have been released in the last 3 months or so, of which there are many. It's not absolutely every single feature, but the ones that I find interesting. So the first one is around meeting attendance reports. So if you haven't seen this yet, at the top of your Teams meeting, when you're looking at it from the client, if you actually created the meeting and it's your meeting, you'll have this ability now to download an attendance list. If you want to know what it looks like, pretty straightforward, but it will show you when someone joins, when someone leaves, if someone starts sharing content, that type of thing. You get a pretty good report as the times of when those things happened, okay? It's in a CSV format. If you are in meetings and you notice that you don't see that, you don't have that option, it could be switched off. So we've noticed in most tenants, we've had to switch this on. And today that setting doesn't exist in the Teams admin portal. We have to go and set it with PowerShell. Okay, so another new feature that has come into meetings. Another big one that was announced last week or the week before is some presence improvements to Microsoft Teams. So anyone that's been using Teams for the last couple of years would probably notice that Teams presence didn't always update as quickly as we needed to update. And to be honest, if presence is out of sync by even 5, 6 seconds, 10 seconds, it can make a real big difference to how you decide to communicate with somebody. So now, and I have noticed this in my client, I am noticing that presence updates are a lot more snappy, usually a couple of seconds, and I see presence updates being updated when I'm in a call or when my calendar says that I'm in a meeting, things like that, which is kind of the whole base of unified comms, right? Knowing someone's presence status before I decide to communicate with them. So you should notice that in your tenants today. I believe it's fully rolled out, or it's almost fully rolled out. So just keep that in mind. The other big change that we should all have today is this pop-out chat and calls, the chat, calls, and meetings. So we've had the chat pop out for some time. You should now see for your Teams calls and also for meetings, you should see the window pop out of the main Teams client and be able to basically have 2 windows side by side. Makes it a lot easier if I want to have a meeting on one screen, use Teams on the other, or if I want to have a phone call pop out and flick between a few different views. It was pretty common in meetings. You'd have to go and find a document that was in a team somewhere, and the experience was a little bit disjointed. That now pops out. Now, if you don't see this, if it hasn't automatically happened for you, if you go into your settings on the Teams client, there is a checkbox that you need to check. If it hasn't been done automatically, that allows you to use the new meetings and calling experience. Okay, causes a client to reboot. When it comes back, those windows always pop out. Okay. All right, companion app improvements. So when I say companion app, I'm talking about, in this case, the mobile phone app. So some of you may have noticed that if you're in a Teams meeting like we are right now, if I open Teams on my mobile client, it'll give me this little message at the top of the screen that says, hey, this meeting is in process. Would you like to join from this device? I click join, and what used to happen up until a few weeks ago was the client would join as a companion app. It would switch off any audio and video because I'm using that from my main client, but it allowed me to pull things in like a camera feed from my phone or a picture that was on my iPhone, or even share the screen of my phone. Okay. But one thing that we used to have in Skype for Business was this ability to kind of move a meeting to a mobile device and walk out the door. This is actually a lot more advanced now with what Microsoft have announced here. We're going to call it Move to Mobile Fridays. So when you have that Friday meeting at 4 p.m. And you really want to get out the door, except all of us in Melbourne who can't really do that at the moment, I can now hit one button and transfer to my mobile device and continue that meeting from my mobile device without anyone in the meeting really knowing that it's happened, right? So really, really nice feature. It now gives me the choice, add the device as a companion device or transfer to that device and walk out the door. Fantastic. That just appeared maybe a week or so ago and made me very happy. Okay, meeting option button in Teams. So now, if anyone's been creating Teams meetings in the Outlook client, you may have noticed that you had the new Teams meeting button, and then whilst you're creating it, you had the team meeting options button next to it. This now appears in the Teams client as well. So without going into my Outlook client, I can see meeting options here, which will still pop a web page. So I would like to think that maybe sometime in the future, those settings will appear within the Teams client itself rather than having to go to a web page. But at least now I can create that meeting, go back into it, click on the meeting options and update these settings anytime that I want. And that's a pretty common thing that we do, right? So I'll create a meeting and then I might need to change the permissions of who can bypass the lobby or whatnot after I've actually created the meeting. It doesn't change the meeting invite link. So what you've sent out to people stays the same. It still allows me to go in and change those settings. And in actual fact, with James sitting on this meeting right now, if we really wanted to, once the meeting starts, we can actually go in and change those settings once the meeting has started. So if we want to control the lobby experience up until when we start a meeting, we can. And then we might say, allow all guests in after that point because the meeting started and we don't have to sit here and let people like Maurizio into the meeting who's arrived a few minutes late. Okay. Next, 10,000 teammates. So now Microsoft have launched support for up to 10,000 users in an individual team. Okay, so that's a new capability. It is showing as launched now on the development pages. So now we can see that it's ready to go, and now we can have up to 10,000 users. So in those larger organizations, educational institutions is another big one where we might want to have that many people in a team. We can now do that. Okay, another smaller thing, but around improved meeting privacy. So now what Microsoft is doing is obfuscating PSTN numbers that if someone joins your meeting from PSTN, so via audio conferencing, we can now hide this number. So this view here is me as the meeting organizer. I've sent out a meeting invite, and me as a meeting organizer can see all the phone numbers of people that join my meeting. However, any guests that join the same meeting do not see the entire number anymore. Now they just see a few of the digits. So from a privacy perspective, if I've got lots of guests joining my meeting, I might have C-level calling into my meeting. I might have other people that value their privacy. Those phone numbers are now obfuscated from anyone outside the organization that created the meeting. Okay. Another nice new little feature. We've also seen an increase in group chat. So now we can have up to 250 participants in a group chat, which is an increase of, I can't remember what the last number was. James, do you know what the last number was?
My brain's saying 100, but I could be wrong.
I want to say 100, but I'm not 100% certain.
I thought it was 100.
There we go. So now up to 250 people in that single group chat. None of my group chats have more than 100 people in them, let alone 250. But there might be some use cases that suit you. Next one, improved meetings with Safari. So now when joining meetings, and note that meetings is in bold there, using the Safari browser on a Mac computer, you'll no longer be required to use audio conferencing to dial into meetings. So now if you're using Safari 13 plus, meetings are supported with full audio support. However, video is still not supported, okay? Just keep that in mind. But beforehand, if I was using the Safari browser, I'd have to use audio conferencing to dial into that meeting if I was joining from the browser. Improved notification management. Okay, so now under activity and settings in your Teams client, you're going to see a lot more granular capabilities when it comes to setting notifications. And this is a big one for me. So as we add all of these additional capabilities, we add, Microsoft Teams is everywhere. It's on our phones, it's on our PCs, tablets, etc. I like to really control my notifications to ensure that I'm not getting, bombarded 24/7. And I'm going to show you a couple of things that help with that. So within the Teams client, if you look under activity and settings, you can do things like turn notification sounds on and off. You can control what activities actually pop through to you in the activities feed, what chat notifications come through, what notifications appear in Windows or Mac. Mac one's actually up the top. In Windows, it's down the bottom here in the bottom right-hand corner. And also those missed activity emails. So for example, I turn those off. I know that I'm going to check Teams and I'm going to go and see what notifications I missed from there. I prefer not to get missed activity emails in another medium, right? These ones here, if you don't know about them from the mobile client, I find very useful as well. So the first one is to choose whether to send notifications to my phone always or only when inactive on desktop or web, right? So you can see how this might be useful, right? If I'm sitting in front of my computer like I do every day now in my home office, and I've got my mobile phone sitting here as well, my phone is not going off for every Teams notification that I get, okay? It's not going off for every notification that I get. After 3 minutes, that's when I'm considered inactive on my desktop, and then if I've walked away from my computer, my mobile phone will start to show those notifications as well, okay? So again, another way to just reduce some of the noise. As well as that, setting your quiet hours on your phone. So these are my actual quiet hours, 10 p.m. to 7 a.m. So I will take a notification up until 10 p.m. And then they kick off again at 7. You can actually set quiet days as well. So if you want your weekends to be notification free, that's something else that you can do from the mobile client. Okay. Moving on to channel notifications. So Teams itself will automatically show the 3 most active channels in a team that you're a member of. These channels will send you notifications when someone out mentions you, but you can also go and customize those notifications as well. So here, where I've just selected one channel in a team, you'll see that there's now a channel notifications menu at the top here, and I can go and customize all activity off, or I can actually customize it further, okay? So if you really want to get into granular notification management, you've got a lot more tools in the shed now. This one here, this is another real handy feature if you haven't seen it. So searching within a chat or a channel. So if anyone's searched within Teams before, you used to go and search in the bar at the top, and then you'd get a dump from pretty much every channel, chat, etc. And you could filter on people and things like that. But more often than not, you knew what channel something was in or what chat it was in, and maybe you just wanted to search there. So now we can do that. So here, if I click on a general, so in this example, I've clicked on the general channel, and then I've hit Control F if I'm a Windows user, or Command F if I'm a Mac user. It'll actually pop up the top here, and you'll see we've got this little kind of pre-pended general channel bit here. Now when I search, it is only going to search within that channel, okay? This has been a real time saver for me when I know something exists in a specific location, but it could have been weeks ago. Okay. This also works for chat and group chat. So I can go to a group chat, Control F, search for something, a phone number that someone sent me, or something like that, some other time. So that's really handy. Meeting and meeting chat size increased to 300. So that limit I do know, it used to be 250 for a Teams meeting. That has now been increased to 300. Okay, and you should have that today. There is further increases coming with an additional license, so I'm going to cover off in a sec. But for normal Teams meetings, without you having to do anything else, you can now have up to 300 participants in that meeting. Okay. Instant channel meetings. So beforehand, we only had the ability to meet now from a channel, but now we've got the ability to schedule a meeting from a channel. Okay. Now, if I click on the Meet Now button when I'm within a Microsoft Teams channel, it will start a meeting, and you'll notice it is very small here, but you'll notice there's a little camera on the channel itself. So other people can actually see that a meeting is happening at this very moment in that channel. Okay, and then people can go and join it if they want. I actually looked after a university hackathon this weekend, and we set up Teams and ran the whole thing online using Teams as the engine. And it was really cool to see, without any real guidance, all the participants kind of figure this stuff out, and you could see all these little meetings happening in different channels, ad hoc, without them really having too much in the way of onboarding or training. So that's a really handy feature. And then, of course, if I hit schedule, it'll automatically fill out the channel location where that meeting is being scheduled. And then the rest of it, I can go and schedule as usual, add required attendees, etc., from the channel, and away I go. Anyone joining the meeting from the web, particularly today, for example, may notice that there's an improved experience as well when joining from the web. So now it just looks a little bit cleaner. It gives me 3 obvious options to choose from. I can choose to either download the app, join via web if I just want to join from a web browser, or if I have the Teams client installed already, I can click the last button and use my Teams client to join a meeting, which is usually what I do to have the best experience. More meeting control options. So one to point out here is this only me setting. So this is really useful. Before this setting existed for meetings, the lowest default was everybody in my organization would automatically come into the meeting, right? But what if I wanted to have a meeting of 30 people, 29 of them all work within my organization, but I want to control the meeting entry? Now I can. I can be the only person that joins as a presenter. Everyone else waits in the lobby until I'm ready to let them in, right? Gives me time to set up my slide deck, get everything ready to go, and then I can decide when people are actually allowed in. New meeting join experience. So again, that kind of pre-staging area that you see when you join a Microsoft Teams meeting. Now this is looking all a little bit tidier. So we still have the camera on and off button in the bottom left under the video. Background filters is right there as well. And then I've got the choice of computer audio, phone audio, room audio, if I want to cast my meeting into a room, or actually I want to join and not use any audio at all. And I can click down through these menu items and it just shows me what's relevant for each one of those options. Okay, so looking a lot cleaner. I quite like it. Something else that's been announced, particularly those in the education space would like this. So Microsoft Teams virtual breakout rooms are currently in development. And they no BTA except for the release date here. Might be some stuff that's happening that we're starting to see come through in some of the tap channels, but nothing that we can share just yet. But keep in mind that is coming. That has been seen as a massive differentiator by some educational institutions between Zoom and Teams. So Zoom have the ability to have breakout rooms. This is now coming to Teams as well, which is going to be fantastic to see. Okay. New license, advanced communications. So this is something that has been added to the licensing suites, I guess. Well, actually not added to licensing suites at all. This is an additional license on top of any of the licensing suites that currently exist. So this is not part of E5, it's not part of E3 or any of the academic licensing. This is a new license that you will need if you want to do certain things with Microsoft Teams. If we look at what it unlocks, the first one, reach a larger audience. So if you want to hold live events for up to 20,000 participants, as opposed to 10,000 participants. Now, keep in mind that today that was increased due to COVID up to 20,000 for most tenants. And I believe education tenants still have it increased up to 20,000 that Microsoft did for free. Excuse me. But moving forward, post-COVID, if you want to support those type of larger audiences, you will need this license, which allows 20,000 participants. Okay. The ability to tailor and customize meetings. So if you want to have custom branded meeting lobby, for example, you'll be able to do that if you have this license. If you want to connect your meeting and calling to workflows. So two main examples of this are contact centers and compliance recording for Microsoft Teams. So to the best of my knowledge, this is the first time that Microsoft have put, I guess, API access to Office 365 behind the license. I'm happy to be corrected if that's not true. But basically, if I want to use compliance recording with Microsoft Teams where I record phone calls, there's an API interface that those third-party recording providers are using, as well as if I want to do a contact center, there's some APIs that are going to be used. Okay, I need this license for those users that want to use that capability. All right, so I have, say, compliance recording from a compliance recording provider, of which I have some slides to show you, but I also need that license from Microsoft. The cost of that license is $12 US per user per month. Okay, so keep in mind that this is for advanced workloads. The person that creates the meeting or is the contact center agent or wants their calls recorded is the one that needs that license. Okay, so it is still a per user license. Today, the feature availability looks like this. So as of released on August the 1st, it will support up to 20,000 participants, 50 concurrent live events, compliance recording integration and contact center solution integration, which is still in development. Later this year, we're going to see interactive Teams meetings for up to 1,000 participants. So if you want an interactive two-way meeting, similar to what we're doing right now, but you want it to be up to 1,000 participants, this license will also support that, as well as the ability to kind of burst past 1,000 participants into a 20,000 view-only meeting experience. So you could have a meeting, excuse me, with 1,000 people interacting. It's a pretty specific use case, I admit, but then actually have 20,000 people participating, almost like a one-way kind of live event type capability. Okay, and then the last one is that custom branded meeting lobby, which some organizations might really like. I do believe as well that Microsoft is working on that custom branding kind of idea, not just in the meeting lobby, but to present itself in other parts of the meeting experience as well. Leon might have something to share on that a little bit later. Okay, so just a bit of an update from a Teams management perspective. So some of you might have noticed that we now have one place for granular device management, okay, in the Teams admin portal. So the first thing that we saw in the Teams admin portal from a device management perspective was phones. That was some months ago now. We then saw collaboration bars appear, but it took a little while for Microsoft Teams room systems to also appear for management. So they now appear in that Teams admin portal. Okay, you can organize to use filters, see device details, current device health status, all those types of things that we'd expect to be able to do when we want to manage devices for any unified communications environment, right? We can also automatically update phones and collaboration bars, ensuring software remains up to date. And keep in mind that if you're not seeing it in the Teams admin portal just yet, any devices, Microsoft Teams room systems do require the latest room system update in order to appear. Okay, so if you're not seeing them, check the software version on your device, make sure it matches the latest, which I can't remember off the top of my head, but you'll need to have that. Okay, so here, this is giving a view of the Teams rooms. Here we go. A Teams room system that appears in the Teams admin portal. I can go and search for things like manufacturer, in this case Logitech, and go and actually find all devices I have that match that criteria. And you can see that I get a list of which ones are healthy, which ones are offline, 7-day activity. Anyone that's used the core analytics for end users, this might look a little bit similar, right? I kind of get a snapshot of what's happened with that room, and I can see visually what's connected, what isn't connected. One little kind of funny thing that I've noticed is that if something is disconnected, it still shows it in green text when I'd expect it to show it in red text if something's disconnected. I'm sure that'll change. But you also notice in that last little bit, in this demo, they went to the actions menu and they were able to go and do things like change the username and password, turn on modern authentication, change if it's a single screen or dual screen device. So all those things that we've typically needed to get physical access to the device is no longer the case. Okay. We have the ability to tag devices as well. So if we want to tag all devices in a certain location, we can do that and give them the same configuration, or maybe reboot them all at the same time, those types of things. We can proactively inspect device health. Now, one thing it doesn't do today is give us kind of real-time updates or alerts if something is down. You will need the Microsoft Meeting Room Advanced license, which is basically a new capability from Microsoft that allows Microsoft to manage the rooms for you. Okay, now I haven't covered that in this slide deck, but that is something else that is possible. What you're seeing here is what you get out of the box when you have any Microsoft Teams Room device. Okay. Core analytics for meetings. Again, if you've used the core analytics for end users, this looks pretty similar. But now, instead of going to a user that was in that meeting and working back that way, I can now go to a team room. I can see all the calls that occurred in that team room, and I can, oh, sorry, my mouse just disappeared for a sec. And now I can go and search for that meeting the way that makes a bit more sense from the Teams room itself. Okay. So core analytics for meetings. Some other new things that you may or may not have seen. So we're actually starting to see app configuration appear in the Teams Admin Center. So what this means, I can actually go into the Teams Admin Center, click on Manage Apps, search for an app, and change its configuration from there. So before this, if I was changing configuration of an application or something like that, it would typically be, you know, I'd have to go into Power Apps, or I'd have to go and find the app somewhere else. In this example, we're looking at the Praise app. And for anyone that hasn't used that, that allows you to give praise to your employees or your peers or whoever else in your organization. So with this, I can actually go and customize within the Teams admin portal. This has been announced, but I haven't actually seen it in my portal just yet. But imagine I want to go and add a custom badge to Praise with a custom image and custom colors and things like that. It's extending on the capabilities and customization out of the box. Also for Teams management, Advisor for Teams is now generally available. If you haven't seen this, this is basically a tool to help you in your tenant or a customer's tenant figure out what they have done and what they still need to do in order to have a successful Teams rollout. Okay, so particularly for smaller organizations, if they're not sure where to start, this can be a good place to go. It's in the Teams admin portal down the bottom left. When I click on it, it'll show me kind of where I'm at out of all the steps, and then I can actually build a plan to proceed with that. And it integrates with Planner and things like that as well. So I can basically create a team of people and then create a plan with Planner and then start working through those tasks. Okay. Okay, so something else that you should be aware of is where Microsoft actually posts all the new stuff that's coming. So pretty much everything I've shown you today has come from the Teams blog sites and things like that. Microsoft also have a site you can go to, which is shown right here, the Microsoft 365 roadmap, that will show you anything that's in development. Okay, so things that haven't been released yet but are in development. So for example, some of the items on the list today: Android on-device chat translation, 3x3 video and collaboration bars, 1080p resolution on collaboration bars, dual front of room display support for collaboration bars, and wirelessly casting to Teams devices, right, in a Teams meeting. So I've got a link there at the bottom of the page. Again, I'll be sharing this slide deck. Go and check that out, and you can get an idea of what's just around the corner. Okay, just going to go through a couple of updates from the partners. I have gone over a few minutes. I'll probably go about another 5 minutes, Leon, just to give you a heads up. So first up, from a recording perspective, so I mentioned before the advanced workloads license required, advanced communications license required, if you want to do things like call recording. So here what I'm showing you is Mnemonics, who are one of the cloud calling providers that we work with here in Australia. So they're actually based out of the States, but they do have presence spun up here in the Australian data centres. Basically what this allows us to do is record audio and video, so we can actually record desktop as well, to a cloud-based solution provider, store, transcribe and analyze. No physical hardware required, no client-side apps, anything like that. It's all it all happens server-side in Office 365, and there's really 2 steps to the configuration. Configure compliance policy recording as a first step, and then configure the IX Cloud tenant. My slides are moving for me, so apologies. So basically, if you're looking to have a compliance recording solution that's based on policy, so people don't have the choice of whether they're recorded or not. You control that as an administrator. We can now do that, and Mnemonics is one of the partners that do that. There are others as well. That's one that I've used in Australia very recently. Great. So quickly just moving on to Ribbon. So got some updates from our friends over at Ribbon. So Ribbon, for those who don't know, have session border controllers that are supported for direct routing with Microsoft Teams. So if I want to get voice into and out of Microsoft Teams, there's basically 2 ways to do that. There's Telstra calling for Office 365, and there's direct routing. James Arber is going to talk a little bit about that a little bit later on. He'll go into more detail. But one thing that Ribbon are now offering is direct routing as a service. So this is a new capability from Ribbon that they are selling to partners, so Ribbon partners, not direct to organizations, that allows support for hosted SWE Lite infrastructure, but you don't have to host it in Azure or anything like that. Ribbon do it for you. It's a monthly service, secure, simple, really easy to configure, and it's all cloud-based, okay? So if you're looking for a quick and easy way to get access to SBC infrastructure and you're not really interested in maintaining it yourself, so to speak, but you still want the flexibility to present your own telcos, to present your own direct routing to whatever tenancy you want on the other side, then that might be an option for you. There is a trial available for that. And on top of that, there is this new capability coming called EdgeView for centralized management of the Ribbon SBC and SWE Lite session border controllers. Okay. Now, I haven't got enough time to go into a lot of detail on this, but basically it's going to provide a much easier way to manage and provision, troubleshoot, remediate, monitor and alert, report and analyze across multiple session border controllers. Okay. So this is going to be a nice addition. It's a web-based service, so all in the cloud. So hopefully we'll know more about that in the next few months. Okay, quickly moving on to Poly, some solution updates from them. So first up, Poly have joined forces with Extron to provide some additional capabilities on their Teams room systems. So here we can see Poly Microsoft Teams room with some camera controls. There's also some control of things like wall cameras as well as lighting and whatnot. So bringing those 2 worlds together and being able to do that on a Poly device. Some details here on what's actually supported. Again, apologies, Eric, I don't have time to go through every one of these today.
No, you're right, mate.
Cool. And it looks like that Poly are also going to offer a USB pass-through option as well. And this is new to me. Maybe Eric, if you've got 30 seconds to just talk about that.
Yeah, so we're just leveraging some of the existing, stuff that Extron have in the market and then packaging that with those guys to deliver a device mode. So it's about the access to screen cameras and microphones from a PC in the room via USB.
Great. Thank you, Eric. And of course, this is opening up some additional capabilities for small, medium, and large rooms based on Poly's new release of their G series MTR solutions. Poly, of course, also have their X family collaboration bars for Teams. So the X30 and the X50 that you can see there. X30 is the little one, X50 is the big one, which are the Android-based collaboration bars for Teams, as well as their touch panel here that sits on the table. Okay. Optional, if I have touch screens, I can just use the touch screen in the front of the room. Okay, quickly moving on to Crestron. So Crestron have had some new devices released as well. So anyone that's used the Mercury before up here in the top right, this is the new replacement Mercury, 40% smaller, screen size is still the same size. So just taking up a lot less real estate on the table than the original Mercury unit, which I think was one of the main bugbears that people had with the first one. That might have been a little bit too big. Well, now we're seeing one that's a lot smaller. Okay, and this for Crestron Flex for the Microsoft Teams Room solutions can be bundled with cameras. So this is the Huddly camera here. This is the Huddly IQ Lite webcam, and of course the UC engine, which is the NUC that runs with these, right? The Windows 10 NUC that you need for Microsoft Teams Room systems. They also have a new looking touchscreen here that sits on the table for their B series, which is the one that has the Huddly camera and the soundbar. So this is a nice new device. Looks a lot cleaner and tidier than the original touchscreen on the Crestron Flex devices. Okay. There is also, so for the C series is the integrated kit where we get this UC engine and the touchscreen here. And then we can integrate that into rooms that have, various cameras, mics, speakers, all that type of stuff. Okay. So again, an update here to the touch panel. Crestron also have a cart on the way as well. So this is something that a lot of people have been asking for, to have something on wheels. Makes it easy to deploy a Microsoft Teams Room system. So this is something else that Crestron will have available in Australia in the not too distant future. Okay. Now I do have some of the Crestron guys on the line. Quick question for you guys. I do understand that you're using a different trolley in Australia. Is this picture here the trolley that ships in the US, or is this the one that will ship in Australia?
Damien, that's the trolley for the US. The one in Australia looks slightly different.
Okay. Same idea though, right?
Yeah.
Great. Cool. So given our current COVID situation, trying to ship anything as large as a trolley around the world is probably mission impossible at the moment. So my understanding is Crestron is working with some local suppliers to make that happen. Okay, Skype for Business, because we still do Skype updates in the Skype and Teams user group, but we've only got one slide. So anyone that hasn't done it yet, you need to get to Teams before July 31st, 2021. So at the moment, thank you, James Arber. I don't think that date is slipped. That date is still July 31st. So if you're still on your journey from Skype to Teams, whether it be Skype for Business on premises or Skype for Business online. Now, let me qualify that. Skype for Business on premises is not going anywhere on July 31st. It's only Skype for Business online that is disappearing on July 31st, 2021. However, if I wanted to take advantage of all the amazing capabilities that Microsoft Teams has and get on board the evergreen feature release cycle that we have with Microsoft Teams, I'll definitely be recommending looking at your strategy to get from Skype on-prem to Teams also. And we have plenty of organizations that have either finished that journey or are somewhere along that journey with the end state being Teams only. Okay. All right, with that, that's the end of my session. I have gone over a little bit. Apologies, Leon. But with that, I would like to introduce Leon Wright, who's going to talk to us about Microsoft's vision for meetings in the new world. Thank you, Leon. We haven't got your audio, Leon. I assume other people can't hear Leon either.
Damien, can
No,
you
we
hear me?
go for Leon.
Now I can hear you, Leon. Thank you.
There we go.
Yeah, I was just switching to my headset. Lovely. Okay, so let's just bring up this content over here. Okay, so I think the first thing is thanks for the opportunity, Damien, to have a chat over here, and I think it's just going to swap these screens around quickly. Okay, there we go. Okay, so fantastic. So I think the first thing is, as Microsoft, what we're doing right now is our biggest focus is around employee well-being. When we looked at COVID and when we see the impact of COVID and what the kind of results of that we're seeing in organizations today, that's pretty much the focus, is how do we look at technology and how do we apply technology to address that meeting fatigue that people are finding. So that is kind of when you look at when we're designing and landing, that's where we're starting to pivot. And more, you know, we've got the traditional meeting that is not delivering, and it's not reaching the full cycle of what organizations are looking for. But what if the meetings were different? And this is the approach we have, is what if we did things in a more connected way? Meetings are not discrete events, but a series of connected gatherings. It's about the collaborative progress of a project, and it's about retaining the context of that project through the whole life cycle of the project. And I think you're all familiar with this, but what we do is we tend to look at this as a journey. It's the before, a lot happens before we start that meeting. It's about preparing, it's about getting ready, and it's really about landing the strategy of what's going to happen. We then have the actual meeting where people would utilize the technology and start to co-author and participate in the meeting. And then more importantly, after that context is retained, and we actually get closure on the items and we actually drive progress. But really what we're trying to land is video conferencing is not enough. It's about bringing the whole platform together. It's about bringing the whole power and the strength of Office 365 and that collaboration platform to the fore. And really, what that really pivots on is Microsoft Graph and how the Graph API goes into all the different components and creates a more rich and unified experience, once again leveraging that full platform and the ability to make that experience significantly smarter and overlying AI inside of the Graph to pull out and create those experiences. For those of you that know Microsoft, you'll know that accessibility is really close to our heart. And this you'll see surfacing in our products all the time. We're making sure that every one of our products is accessible, that people that are challenged are able to engage with it and utilize the technology as seamlessly and engaging as any one of us. So, accessibility is really built into our whole ethos of how we work. But really, there's 4 pillars. When I look at meetings, I'm looking at it in 4 lenses. The first one is, how do we stay in the flow? Okay, how do we then create one solution? How do we engage people? And then more importantly, how do we do this on a real secure enterprise? Now, what I'm going to do today is uncharacteristic. I'm going to actually flip that around. I would always speak about security first, because that's first and foremost in our mind, how we protect our customers, and that's our number 1 priority. You're all pretty much across that and our secure framework. So I'm going to tip that around and kind of start on the other pillar. And talk about the flow. And once again, just starting with that Zen feel is we'll keep the flow. And really what that is about context. It's about the context of the engagement. It's about the context of the meeting. It's about the channels, Damien, that you were talking about, is how do we retain that throughout the whole experience, and all documents and all content that was presented for that specific project or environment is to be found in that context. Then on the right top hand corner, you've got the apps integration. Now, this is probably the most important part for us. This is where we bring to bear the power of Office 365 and the apps platform, and how we start to integrate apps, both Microsoft apps and third-party apps, into Microsoft Teams, into workflows and process, and really just enrich the whole experience. And then down the bottom, the ability to go back. If I've missed a meeting or I've missed an engagement, to not have missed any information, to go back and find recordings, find transcriptions, or any information that I'd be looking for. On the right bottom is also the ability to bring in the whiteboarding, the collaboration, the brainstorming capability, and bringing all that to bear inside of the one window or the single pane of glass that is Microsoft Teams. The other critical component is that we have one single solution with one unified environment, one comfortable interface that you're used to as an end user, whether you're sitting in the car, whether you're in your boardroom, or whether you're on your iPad, that experience is the same and it's unified. And that really playing across from PSTN calling all the way through, that we have a predictable experience. But most importantly, once again, coming back to where I started, it's about how we engage people. And what we're finding is we have to find new ways to connect people in teams and groups, and new people meeting each other. And we have both formats. And what you're looking at here is together mode. And what really stands out in together mode, which is the bottom right-hand side, is there's no barriers. In the big gallery view, we've got lines and everyone's in boxes. In the together mode, we break those down and we kind of put people together. And what you'll also see is the AI overlay, is when people are talking, you'll find that people will naturally look towards that person in the gallery. And that's the AI we're bringing to bear to make it a more natural and a more seamless experience, and really just bringing people together. What you'll also see as we move forward is, while I've got one specific view that's sort of a classroom or a uni type environment, we'll also start adding additional backgrounds that will be things like coffee breaks or different background environments, depending on the type of experience that you're looking for and you want to create. It might be a coffee shop type environment. So really just trying to make things a lot more human and natural. The next one is what we call dynamic view. And this is the ability to go into your Teams client and to actually create that view or that layout that you're looking for, one that resonates for you, and to bring together both content and videos in a seamless but orchestrated environment the way you want to consume that data. So this really creates, once again, the ability to customize that experience. We've then got, what's critical, and once again, pivoting back to accessibility, is in terms of closed captioning. But not only will you see closed captioning, you'll see closed captioning with speaker attribution. So this is new, and you're going to find this popping up everywhere. So not only highlighting the person in the screen, but also highlighting their name, as in this one here, it's Serena that's busy talking, and we're driving closed captions, but also ascribing those to Serena in terms of keeping the experience unique. And once again, when you're going back, the ability to track and trace and see who is actually talking. We then have the ability over here, what we call, in terms of having a look and providing a more natural experience, and the ability to provide instant feedback. This is one of the things that in a traditional video type environment, we lose. I can't walk over and say, hey, Damien, great session, and give you a pat on the back and say, good job, and shake your hand. So you lose that. And when you're dealing with video screens, and specifically when you're going to gallery type views, you're losing that personal engagement. So it's really important for us to drive a different type and create a virtual engagement. And what you're seeing over here is just feedback. So the ability to create conversation or bubbles and to actually give feedback, whether it's a clap of hands or whether it's a heart to say, well done, really like this. So that's really important. You're going to see this start to immerse more and more inside of the product as we drop it. The transcription on the right-hand side, like we did closed captioning with attribution, with speaker attribution. What you're also seeing on the right-hand side here is the actual transcription for the whole meeting with driven up. So you would actually have, post the meeting, the full transcription of that meeting with the speaker attribution. Once again, making things like taking minutes or trying to recap the meeting a hell of a lot easier than it is today. Damien covered this, but this is a really important SKU that we've announced, and this is that advanced communication SKU. Now, what it does is as Damien has said, is create, really very large-scale meetings of up to 1,000 people in a unified peer-to-peer type environment, and then an overflow in just a viewing capability for 20,000. But this creates scale, and this creates a lot more opportunity to customize that experience. James spoke about things like customized lobbies or branded lobbies, the ability to start branding inside a meeting, and there's a lot of additional features you're going to see to start landing inside of the advanced communication SKU. This is going to be really important and quite strategic for Microsoft as we move forward, and you're going to see us invest a lot and grow this product out quite significantly. You've covered a really key point previously, Damien, around the licensing for compliance recording and also for contact centers. So that's an important change that I was also going to mention, that you just need to be aware of that, that is a license that needs to be attached. We're in COVID, and sad as it is, one of the things we want to do is make sure that through technology we try and keep people as safe as possible. So what you'll see surfacing inside of the solutions is that we're aware, and we're using the technology to make people aware of room capacities when we're oversubscribing those capacities, and really saying, hey, Leon, you've just walked into this room, but you know what, the room is oversubscribed, you need to leave. So I need to then leave the room and go and take it from another location, ensure that we're adhering to social distancing. So that absolutely surfacing inside of the solutions. A lot of us don't want to walk in with COVID and start touching devices inside of the room. You'd want to touch and work on your device, which is safe, to be in your hands. So once again, building apps that are able to drive and create that meeting experience on Teams apps inside of your mobile phone. You'll see that start to surface. Cortana, an absolute pillar of our strategy. Walking in saying, hey, Cortana, start my meeting. Hey, Cortana, end my meeting. Hey, Cortana, pull up my presentation for last week. And you'll see a lot of power starting to be invested in terms of Cortana and that voice activation and the capability to drive meetings and experience through Cortana. There's another really important one in terms of message extensions. What we're finding is that checking in on people is really hard, specifically when managers or teachers are managing large groups of people. How do you check in on them? How do you make sure that they're engaged? How do you make sure they're okay and they're coping? So what we've done is we've got messaging extensions, and this is just a really quick way for any leader to just post a thread and kind of get quick feedback in terms of how their people are doing. So you'll see more and more, once again, around the holistic, looking at the person, how we start to surface that inside of the technology. Backgrounds, I think we're all across, and we continue to just accelerate that. And then for those of you that are Snapchat fanatics and like to use your filters, we're going to make you look good. So there's good Snapchat filters to change lighting or soften it, and just really create a more consumable image of yourself, should you want that and should you choose to do that. So you'll see that grow out. Third, companion devices. This is also critical, and you'll see we've landed 2 devices so far. We've got Lenovo and the Yealink devices, and really this is companion devices for when you're presenting to kind of push that to a different format and just kind of ease the burden on how you're managing your meeting experiences. Like I'm sitting now, I'm using a companion device and then presenting on my actual surface. So just making it easier to consume content. The unified join experience, this is super important. A lot of work has been done to really drive and land this solution. And what you'll find is when you're walking into a room now, it's pretty clear. The MTR is the center of room device. The Surface Hub is the side of room device. And when you walk in and you start a meeting now, you'll see that unified join experience where both of those devices would join the meeting, but you would see the Surface Hub join as a collaboration, as a real collaboration device for brainstorming or whiteboarding or creating those type of experiences, whereas the MTR will be controlling that core meeting experience. Now, for those of you that haven't used it, and I'm positive most in this meeting that I kind of saw have, but live events still a critical component. Once again, live events free as part of your license. There's nothing extra to be paid. This is more the broadcast capability and the ability to do, right now we're catching up to 100,000 people should that be required, but scaling quite comfortably up to 20,000, as Damien said, and then having 50 different live events inside of the same Teams tenant. So really scaling up and driving that. You'll see a lot of investment in terms of formats and how we start to land live events as we move forward. Security, just wrapping back on that, once again, a critical pillar. But down the bottom, you would also have seen in terms of the core quality dashboard, there's a huge amount of engineering going into core quality dashboard to provide you the kind of statistics that you need as IT pros, and to show you not only the quality of the experience, but also drawing legacy data for you and predictive data as we move forward. So a lot of investment going through to that. And then also in terms of audio conferencing, you'll find that Microsoft's really leaning into audio conferencing specifically now in this fiscal, and we're going to start driving that as a real strong motion for customers to just really unlock and drive that meetings attached for people that are just in less ideal environments and a little bit remote or traveling. In terms of our certified or cloud video interop vendors, this I think you're all across where we've got 4 cloud video interop vendors. We also landed the guest join capability that landed in the last build with Cisco, and you'll see that come soon with Zoom in terms of landing that guest join capability. So that's kind of the platform. But what I wanted to land over here is what I see as possibly the biggest opportunity for us to really lean in and transform organizations. And this is one thing that I try to leave with business leaders as much as possible is COVID, as tragic as it is, what it does is it creates a wonderful opportunity for organizations to transform. And as IT leaders, you've got a unique opportunity here to be a key part of that transformation, and not only be a key part, but have the support of your whole organization and the board to achieve those goals. Through this period, you can be that catalyst of growing your company through this transformation through the use of technology. And there's no part of that audience that has been more disenfranchised than the first line worker. So this is really a major opportunity to go out there and transform these people that have previously been disenfranchised, pull them in and give the nurse, a full meeting experience, give the nurse the apps to be able to transform and book stock or buy PPE or whatever they want to do through application integration and workflows. The great teams on the roads building out on the road, busy building infrastructure. How do you pull them in and make them part of that? These are people that are the face of the companies, and really we've got a massive focus in terms of going in and just enabling that audience. Damien did super justice to this. This is top of mind for me. How do we take that that audience, that great customer base that we've had on Skype, and how do we transition them to Teams? There's so much benefit to be garnered there in terms of technology, in terms of quality, and really driving that technology change. Super important for us. And if you need help on that, please reach out to any one of us. So that's kind of the high level of where we are going. Once again, just reiterating, we're all about employee well-being and driving that and changing that meeting experience and adapting the technology to cater for that. Look, we're all out there, be all you can be, but whatever you be awesome. It's been great to spend the time with you, Damien. Thanks for the opportunity, mate.
Really appreciate it, Leon. It's really good to get an overview from Microsoft's perspective on where we're going with meetings, and not just the technology, but what that means for people. So really appreciate it. Thank you. Next up, we have James Arber. Take it away, James.
All right. Okay, let's get into it. So thank you, everyone, for coming along as usual. We are running a little bit behind, so sorry about that. This is a rather technical session, so give me a second and I'll just start presenting that slide deck and we will get into it. Apologies if I go through something a little too quickly. We will have the slides available for download. There are lots of links to community tools and references in this slide deck. So again, just download the slides at the end and we'll be able to go from there. Okay. Anyway, thanks, Leon. That was pretty cool. So for those of you who don't know who I am, I'm pretty sure most of you do. My name's James Arber. I've been working in the UC space for a little while. I've been working with Damo on the user group for some time now, and I've transitioned over to Telstra Purple, previously Cloud. In saying that, we are a consulting arm of Telstra, so while I am talking about Telstra stuff, I'm not getting any kickback or anything from that, so I am saying this as neutrally as I can. So for those that who are looking at adding voice or know about voice in their team's infrastructure, or those that don't, let's just quickly cover over the two ways that we can bolt our solution into Teams. And those today in Australia are direct routing and Telstra calling from Microsoft 365. Those two solutions allow us to connect basically a phone line into our Teams system. So we still need to have Teams licensing and phone system licensing, which we'll cover in a minute. But these are the two ways that we can get that dial tone into Teams. And the two solutions are both great. They both have their pluses and minuses. But the long and short of it is direct routing is really great if you want to integrate with something, or if you need to plug into your existing PBX or some analog devices, or you want a staged migration. Telstra calling is great if you want everything to live in the cloud. You don't want to have to worry about managing anything from your telephony side. You just want to manage Office. You don't need to know about SIG. You don't need to have an SBC on site. You don't need to worry about any of it. But again, both of them have their disadvantages too. Direct routing, as I said, you need the SBC. You need to maintain it. It relies on on-site. Whereas Telstra calling, the licensing can get a little bit confusing, and it's difficult to integrate with other solutions. So one of the big fallbacks that I see with TCO today is that if you've got a user that might make 2 or 3 phone calls a month, you still have to give them a full primed license. And if you're getting like the $12 a month license, a user a month license, you have to apply it to them, even for the users that make 1 phone call a month. So direct routing can solve those issues. But it's all good that we're talking about direct routing and Telstra calling. We can actually make these work together. And so can I add direct routing to a tenant with Telstra calling? A lot of people don't realize that you can actually do this. And you can do the other way around as well. If you already have direct routing, you can bolt Telstra calling into it. So what I use, and Damo, I've seen use this as well, is we use direct routing to get users into the cloud in a very efficient and low disruption way. So I can use direct routing today and then slowly move everybody into Teams off my existing platform, whether it be Skype or an Alcatel or some other, even ISDN PBX, and then switch them over to TCO and not have any on-prem infrastructure. Now, the only thing about the two infrastructures living together is if you've got a number that you've published, somewhere, and it goes to some sort of appliance you've got on site, a call center or something else, that needs to stay on site. You can't port that number into Telstra calling and route it back, but we'll come back to that later. So, as I said, this session is going to be a little bit technical. Here are some terms we're going to be talking about in the slides a lot. Just to make things simple, TCO is obviously Telstra calling for Office 365. DR is direct routing, not disaster recovery. Dial plan is just something that it turns numbers that users dial into something useful for a PBX. So PBXs speak a different numbering format to us humans. The dial plan converts it into that PBX numbering format. It's used by TCO and direct routing. And a couple of things that are exclusive to direct routing are a voice policy and PSTN usage. So those policies determine what they're allowed to call and what SBC that they'll go through. And when we make a call, it starts at the dial plan, goes to the voice policy, goes to the PSTN usage. Here we have an example Teams call flow. This diagram's made the rounds a few times, but it's quite handy. So we've got a user up here in Germany. They make a phone call. They're making a phone call out to that 1-800 number. First thing Teams will do is check to see if a voice routing policy exists. If it does, and you've created this voice routing policy, it'll then start checking the PSTN usages. If the PSTN usages then has a match for that number, so let's say that 1-800 number, you're going to send it out a specific SBC, it will then try and reach the SBC and send it out that way. And that SBC can connect to whatever you like. If you don't have a voice routing policy, or it doesn't match your PSTN usage, so someone dials a number that isn't in your integrated number ranges or that you're not using via direct routing, then it fails back to the Microsoft calling plan. Now, the Microsoft calling plan in this case is Telstra calling for Office 365. We then pass it on to Telstra and they make the call for us. Now, before we go into how to make all this work together and how it all works, a heads up, there is new licensing available for Telstra calling. It used to be that you had to have an E1 or through the Telstra Marketplace or a EA. You can now use the Microsoft 365 Business Basics licensing as well. So your Office 365 e-licensing, your Microsoft e-licensing, and your Microsoft Business Basics SKUs are now eligible for TCO as well. And we'll explain why that's important in a minute. So enabling TCO for your tenant. As I said, we're technical, we're going to blast through a lot of this. Logistically, your Office 365 tenant needs to be in Australia. If it's not in Australia, not going to work. TCOI is coming. Have a chat to one of my colleagues about that. But it's just been announced. But for today, you still need to have your tenant in Australia. You need a Telstra account manager or account executive who will need some details from you for some paperwork. You'll need access to the Telstra Apps Marketplace, and Telstra will require CSP rights to your tenant. Now, that just means that they can log onto your tenant and check your licensing. They're not going to jump into your personal details or anything like that. Actually, just they send you a big contract saying, we will not do this. So you're totally fine. It takes about 20 days to do the commercials. The other thing you'll need to do is set up some dial plans, and I've got a cheat sheet for that in a second. It makes it really easy. From a licensing perspective, like I said before, you need the E5 or E1. You can also use the business licensing now. You need to purchase those licenses through the Calling Apps Marketplace or get them from Microsoft as an EA. You can't just stick your credit card into Office 365 or go to your favorite disty and buy them that way. They must be purchased the correct methods for supportability. And your numbers. When you sign up for Telstra Calling, you'll get a pilot. We'll give you some numbers, let you play, and you can then, if you're happy with that, you can order more numbers and transition everything across. But we know that businesses don't want to do that. Your business cards don't want to be reprinted, but people apparently have business cards. So we can port those numbers in and they can just come in batches of 100. It's quite simple and it's one form. But what I do is I use direct routing to make those work in the meantime so that I don't have to lift 100 numbers, 100 contiguous numbers into Telstra Calling at the same time, because we all know that business units don't work that way. So what do we do for setting up TCO? We fill in this form here. So this is a form that gives me access to Telstra products. Damien shakes his head. We go to the Telstra Apps Marketplace, sign up for that, and we start getting our Telstra licenses. Now, I couldn't sign up with my account. My BSB's gone out of date, so I don't see the Telstra calling licenses here, but I can still see the Teams rooms and common area phone licenses. Once your EA grants access, it will just appear as another license. Once you've done that, we grant Telstra rights to your Office 365 tenant, and that just lets them inject those licenses. So if we go over to my tenant now, we can see that I have Telstra calling licenses that I can start assigning to users. And that's it, my tenant's set up. I'd go set those dial plans up as well, but that's pretty simple. So we need a user that's eligible to run Teams, so a license somehow that they can use Teams. We need to add a phone system license to them somehow. That phone system license comes from an E5, or you can bolt it onto E1, E3 with the phone system license SKU. We then give the user a Telstra Calling for Office 365 license. Then we assign them a phone number through the Teams admin portal, or we can use PowerShell. And as you can see, the licenses in this case, the first two are handled by Microsoft, the last one's handled by Telstra. However, it is in your Telstra Office portal. So here we are with my user in Office 365. You can see in this case, They have a Office 365 E5 license, which gives them phone system, and I've also granted them a Telstra calling license. If I go over to the Teams admin portal, I can now see all my users are filtered down, and I can see that this particular user has a phone system license, which means they're allowed to use the cloud phone system. Because I've assigned them a Telstra calling license, I now have the ability to grant a phone number to that user. So if I go to voice, phone numbers, and then pick a phone number, I can assign that to a user. And yes, these numbers are blurred because I know for a fact Damien will call it during the middle of a session. Ask him how I know. I click assign, and then I wait a little while, and the user will get that telephone number. Then because I don't want the user to have to dial +61432 500 every single time I make a phone call, I use a dial plan that I upload, and in a second we'll talk about. I just grant that to that user, or I use the global dial plan to change human numbers into PBX numbers. So how do we enable direct route? Well, logistically, we need a certified SBC. There's tons of them now. There's no preferences here, whichever SBC you like. My demos will be using a particular brand, but you can use whatever brand you like. That SBC will need a TLS certificate. And the SBC will need to be connected to a SIP trunk or ISDN in some parts of the world. And you can connect that to your analog devices as well. From a licensing perspective, any users that are using direct route need to have the phone system license. So same as before, we give them an E5 or an E1, E3 plus phone system. And then your SBC needs to be licensed to make those SIP calls. So your SBC vendor can help you with that. And while you're talking to them, add Silk licenses to that as well for the best audio quality. So from a technical perspective, we set up our SBC. I can't guide you through that today. It's different for every environment. Your PBX administrator will probably have thoughts as to how they're going to do that. If you're a voice guy and you're here for us at the moment, you'll probably understand how that works. If you don't, talk to your PBX team. They'll understand what to do. You then need to set your SBC up to talk to Office 365. So Damo does a pretty good guide on setting up ribbon units. Lee Ford has one for audio codes, and AnyNode has a guide for theirs as well from Randy Chapman. And there's a note there from the Sydney user group that I forgot to delete. And then we need to create dial plans. So as before, a dial plan will turn the type number into a PBX number. PSTN usages will then define if they're allowed to call that number, and then the routing policies will say it goes to the SBC. We can create those all magically by visiting ucdialplans.com, pressing the donate button and buying Ken a beer because it's a cool tool, and trust me, it saves you a day or two of messing around. And then just download the PowerShell script and run that on your tenant. It's really easy. Then if I need to make any adjustments, I use James Cusson's tools. He's got some great tools for editing these items. Maybe I need to add analog devices or local extensions. I can use those tools. Or if I need to, I can manually edit those by using regex101.com and PowerShell. Or now we can also use the Teams admin portal to edit all that ourselves. So I'll quickly take you through doing that. So the first thing we'll do is we'll add the SBC that we've pre-configured to our Office 365 tenant. So you can see up in the top left, I'm using PowerShell. Just quickly adding it to my SBC, and it's one PowerShell command that Teams now knows about my SBC and how it can send calls there. We can also do that through the Teams admin center now as well. I use PowerShell because I'm an old fart.
Also worth calling out, James, that there's still a couple of settings that don't appear in the GUI. The most important one being media bypass. That does not exist in the GUI today, only in PowerShell.
Yes, local media optimization. Good point. So, and then we go and configure our SBC to talk to Office 365. Now, if you have a look, this is my SBC at home. And if you look at the names, you can see I followed Damo's guide, MS phone system, and those little green dots down the bottom mean that my SBC can talk to Office 365 just fine. Then, as I said, head over to ucdialplans.com. I buy Ken a beer. I usually do it at MVP Summit, but unfortunately I can't. So I just buy him a beer online and then create a dial plan. This is a completely free service, but a lot of effort's gone into it. It's got 200 and something odd countries in it now. You literally just punch in, I'm here, my user's here, bang, and it gives you a little PowerShell script that you download, and it configures Teams for you. It's it, done. Very simple. So if you have a look here, I'm connected to my Teams PowerShell, and I just run this little script that Ken's generated for me, and it starts adding everything I need to my tenant. So it's adding the voice policies, PSTN usages, dial plans, the whole lot, and I don't have to worry about it. If I need to, I then use James Cusson's tools to tweak those. So you can, as I said, you can just grab those from myskypelab.com and tweak them. Maybe I need to add one for an analog device or something like that, and go from there. So if I want to enable a user for direct route, same as before, that user has to be eligible to run Teams. We have to give the user a phone system license, same before. So it's just a license that says they can use a phone system. And then we, instead of granting them a Telstra calling license, we grant them a Teams voice policy. And that plugs direct route into that user's extension to let them use it. The difference here, though, when we go direct route, the only way we can assign them a phone number is we have to do it via PowerShell. You can see I've got a little commandlet there. There's no way for me in the admin portal to assign on-premise phone numbers. I have to do that through PowerShell. Now, all the licensing and everything is handled by Microsoft, but the user's got access to everything. So we've got a user here in my tenant again. In this case, I've granted them an E5, which has phone system included. I go to the Teams admin portal and I can see phone systems enabled for this user. Then I go to the user and edit their policies. So I click on the user, click policies, click edit, and then change their dial plan and voice routing policy. So you can see in this case, I'm setting the dial plan to direct route and international. These policies have been uploaded by Ken's script. So there's nothing you need to worry about there. Or you can update that in the voice section into Teams. Then in my online PowerShell session, I kick off a commandlet to set their phone number so they can receive phone calls. What about both? Why can't we use both? We can. And why would I want to? Well, the biggest one is migration. You've got a legacy system that you're trying to migrate from, whether it be an Alcatel or Skype for Business or something like that, and you're moving those users into Telstra calling. Well, we can give them both. That way I can move number ranges as I feel like it, rather than having to pick up this 100 users who are in geographically different locations or different buildings because their phone numbers are neatly stacked together. I can integrate Teams with a call center. So maybe I've got a call center product that I'm using on premise that I farm calls out to. My current PBX is connected to that call center product. I want Teams to be connected to it. And I don't want to have to be making phone calls through the PSTN for it. Well, we can use direct route for that. Remote sites is another big one. So if you have a site that needs non-Australian numbers, so let's say you've got something over in New Zealand or you've got something in Singapore or one of those places, TCOI is available for those places now, but what about Papua New Guinea? I could put an SBC on site, connect that to ISDN locally, and then have those users making calls using the local SBC without going through Telstra calling. And a big one for me is analog devices. Any analog device, SIP phones, cordless phones, door stations, access gates, PA systems, all that sort of stuff. There's no easy way today to bolt those into Teams. So I use direct route to get around it. I send it to the SBC sends it to the appropriate device. Everything's happy. Teams sees a certified endpoint. My users can make a paging call. And it doesn't cost me anything from a licensing perspective. I don't have to turn around and license that phone at the end of the corridor to give it a common area phone license and a Telstra calling license at $20 a month. It's free and it's great. How do I enable a user for both? Well, I already have to have TCO and DR already set up, obviously. And then I create a voice routing policy that only matches the DR numbers. Maybe these are the numbers of my local PBX or the numbers of my analog devices or something, but they don't match normal phone calls. If I punch a mobile number in, it's not going to match. You can learn more about how to make those and stuff in my regex session I gave at Comsverse. Those slides are available as well. This session's not technical enough for that, unfortunately. And And then I assign that voice routing policy to the user. It's that simple. So the user's already got TCO. I give them a voice routing policy that allows them to use direct route. I'm done. It's that simple. And now my SBC will do the work for me. So I've got some slides here. In this case, I've got 2 SBCs. It doesn't have to be 2 SBCs. It can be 1, it could be 6, it could be however you like it. But I've got a call coming in from the left from my carrier. That hits my SBC. And that SBC determines the call is for the legacy PBX, and it just sends it straight to the legacy PBX. Office 365 doesn't know about it. Same thing, I've got a call coming in from my carrier, and it sends it to the analog device. I don't have to worry about it going to Office 365 or anything like that. But if the call is for a user that's homed in the cloud, well, the SBC converts it to secure SIP and then sends it into the cloud for Teams to process, and then Teams will send it to the user appropriately. The reverse, now that I've got those voice policies, is also true. So I've got a call that the SBC will determine that's not actually for the PSTN, it's for something I own, and sends it to the analog device. Same thing, if I'm going to a legacy PBX, it comes from the cloud and it goes to that legacy PBX and not through the PSTN. So great if you've got users that are constantly calling each other or transferring calls between each other. You're not racking up costs for those calls. Okay, and I'm nearly done. This is probably the quickest I've run this session. Analog device and legacy integration with Teams. If I wanted to get, let's say I want to get an analog device, a door access phone or a cordless phone is a common one, and I want to make that work in Teams today. What I'd do is I configure my SBC to route calls for internal users to Office 365 and for external numbers to my SIP trunk. And that means that when I pick up that analog phone and make a phone call, that it's making phone calls out via my existing trunk. But if I want to contact users, it's not going out, charging me a call, coming back in. It matches and just goes up my Office 365 trunk. I don't have to worry about it. In Teams, I create a dial plan that matches that legacy system, like I said before. So in this case, I've got a dial plan that matches anything that starts with 5,000, from 5,000 to 599, and sends it down. So this is just a dial plan that turns it into an E164 number, so that PBX number that we're expecting. I then create a PSTN usage that then says anything that matches my local number range, so my 0370105 range, send it to my SBC at home. That SBC will then forward the call to the analog call. All I then need to do is to assign that voice policy that I've added to my users. And as long as it doesn't match the voice policy, then the user's phone call will go out via Telstra calling. So it's the best of both worlds. I can talk to my on-premise infrastructure, my paging system, my analog devices, but I can still send all my calls out via Telstra calling. And if that SBC was to go offline, the calls would go out, you'd still be able to call mobile phones, you'd still be able to call internationals, and I'm not pumping hundreds of calls through my on-premise SBC that I have to look after this network link for. It's only access to those analog devices. And that's pretty much it. I've got basically question time now. I did have my usual joke about vendors in here, but I'll skip that one today. That's pretty much it. Did anyone have any questions?
Well, James, if anyone feel free to butt in or put your hand up if there are any questions, but really appreciate that session. It's really good to see the two technologies that allow us to enable voice in Microsoft Teams and how they can also not be mutually exclusive, that we can use these technologies together, which I think is really the key takeaway from that. Okay, if there are no sorry, was that a question? Here we go. Ben, you've got your hand up.
Hey, yeah, just a question about the licensing for those, basic, standard, and premium.
Mm-hmm.
I've been trying to find those. I can't find them anywhere.
So which licenses are those, sorry?
So that's the business phone system and Microsoft Business Voice for the 365 basic, standard, and premium subscriptions.
Yes. It is still relatively new. Anyone on the call that may know when they're going to be more generally available?
Yeah, so if you log into your Office 365 tenancy, they can be purchased as an add-on to your existing business licenses in our Telstra Apps Marketplace. Of course, we then have the business licenses, and the phone system add-on or the business phone system add-on can then be made available through that portal. So I'm happy to send the links to you, and I'll put the links in some of the in the notes here around where you can get those.
And
Excellent.
are they exclusively available through Telstra Calling, or
No,
we buy direct off Microsoft?
No, they're a CSP license, so Microsoft will provide the business phone system, and then Telstra has a unique SKU that doesn't include the audio conferencing. So,
beautiful. Thank you.
Yeah. So some CSPs, you'll have to search for the business voice without calling plan is the name of the license. So, and you can just, if you're buying a licensing off a CSP, that's what you need to ask for. That may help you get the right license you're after.
Right. So for anyone else on the call that's wondering what we're referring to there, so that is the license. So if you're using the business licensing SKUs, which is up to 300 staff can get that license, 300 licensed organizations, you can now get access to calling via either a calling plan or Telstra calling or direct route. Microsoft has some new licenses available to support that. One of those licenses is actually the phone system and audio conferencing rolled into one. So you have the choice of buying just the phone system license and then getting telephony via Telstra calling or direct routing, or you can actually bundle the calling plan and audio conferencing together. So that's a first for people that weren't using, organizations that weren't using the E licensing or the A licensing for academic. Right, so, all right, great. Okay, we've gone over slightly. We're going to move on to our last session of the day, last but not least. So we have now Miki, Tang and Tong from Yealink, who are going to be taking us through all the latest news and updates from Yealink. I believe Yealink also has some devices to give away. Now, I was planning to have some clever way to do that, to actually give some of these devices away that I haven't come up with. So maybe we can have some fast finger questions at the end or something like that in order to give those away. So take it away, Yealink. If you are there. Link and Miki, I can see you're on mute at the moment.
Hello. Thanks, Damien. Yeah.
Yeah,
so,
gotcha now.
Here we have Miki and I stayed in our office from Xiamen of China. Yeah. So thanks for your introduction. Yeah. So yeah. So in our side, we will give you updates about Yealink new products and our roadmap. Yeah. So hot time flights, yeah, it was last organized. It was my first time to present at the user group. Now 1 year passed, and our world has been changed a lot. So Yealink also released new products into the market. So perhaps it can fit into our current working from home scenario. So a quick introduction about Yealink. Yealink was founded in 2001. Right now, it's the global top 1 SIG-phone provider. And right now, we have more than 1,400 employees. And regarding of the Microsoft business, right now, we are one of the key strategy partner of Microsoft. Then let's look at the portfolio we can offer for Microsoft. Basically, you can see a really wide portfolio we can offer here, including voice, video, and accessories. So for the voice part, you can see right now we can offer 2 models of speakerphone, 2 models of USB headset, and there will be one dead headset to be available in October. Then for the desk phone, right now we have different models for different user scenarios, like T55A for common area, T50AA for high-level users. Right now we have a new model, MP56 available. MVP59, the Teams video phone, which is suitable for current working from home scenario. And the CP960 can be used for home office and also conference room. Then for the video solution, we have both connection bar and the standard MTR solution available. Then let's talk about the details for each product. I think right now for the headset, this can be a great device used for home office. So right now we have the UH36 available. This is a Teams certified headset with dedicated Teams button, as you can see. And it also comes with 3.5 mm interface and USB port 2.0 interface. So you can either use with your PC, laptop, your mobile. So with this device, you can use with any of your device at home. And we have two versions right now, dual version and the mono version. It's quite cost effective with these two versions. Then in October, we are going to release our new DET headset. There will be two versions here. They comes with same headset but different base. So the first one is the WH62. Then is the WH66. For the WH66, it comes with a touch console, so you can do call control with the touch console, and you can also pair it with your mobile phone through Bluetooth. So quite easy to use with your mobile device. Then for the speakerphone, right now we have two models as we introduced, CP900 and CP700. For CP900, it comes with 6 beforming microphone, and it can cover 2 meters voice pickup. While for CP700, it comes with 2 beforming microphone, and it can cover 1.5 meters voice pickup. They all comes with a dedicated Teams button, so you can click this Teams button to check your new message. So this can be a great option for working from home also. Then for the Teams handset, we have a new model released and certified by Teams and Skype Business. It comes with Android 9 operating system, 7-inch touchscreen with built-in Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, so make it more easier to be used even at home with Wi-Fi connection. And it also comes with a dedicated Teams button. You can use it to check your voicemail in later version once it's supported by Teams. Here, I'd like to also share our product roadmap about the voice side. Yeah, so Yealink is going to release the first Teams USB phone, MP50, in October. So for customers looking to purchase Teams USB phone, you can connect with your PC to pair it with your Teams PC client. Then you can make calls on the USB phone, and you can do call control on the touch screen directly. So this will be the first USB phone to be available in October. The demo units will be available in late of September. Yeah. Then about handset, there will be 2 more models will be released from Yealink. MP50A. This model will support Android 9 operating system, dedicated Teams button. Another great point here is it will support Bluetooth handset. So there will be 2 versions. You can choose to purchase with Bluetooth handset or standard version. Then we're also going to release a new entry-level Teams phone MP54. It will be similar to our current T55A, but it comes with Android 9 operating system and dedicated Teams button. So we are releasing more and more options. And in Q1 of next year, we are going to release the most cost-effective Teams phone, MP52. It will be, the list price will be around 120 USD. So you can grab more devices from Yealink. So now it's time for the lucky draw. So we prepared 3 units of UH36 for the user group. So anyone answer the question correctly, you will be able to get 1 unit of UH36. Yeah. So time for the answer. We will find the yeah.
Okay.
3, 2, 1. Time to answer. Are you ready?
Yeah, I think Queen already
Okay.
trained Queen.
Yeah, so we will arrange 1 UH36 for you after the user group. Yeah, Miki will take note. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So next part, we are going to talk about Yealink video portfolios for Microsoft. So basically, you can see we have 2 products here, 2 type of product here: Android-based solution and the PC-based solution, MTR. So for the Android-based solution, right now we have 2 models. The Tings phone VP59 is based on Android 7 and can support both Teams video meeting and the voice meeting. So this device can be also a great option to be used at home. With this single device, it comes with camera, built-in camera. Yeah, so very easy to use. Then we also have another product here, the VC210, the first Teams collaboration bar. This is Android 9 operating system based, so also very ideal for working from home. Then we also have the other MTR options for different meeting room space. Let's highlight on the VC210 firstly. So for this device, it comes with a 4K digital camera, which can support up to 120-degree field of view, and you can use it with your touch screen directly, so easily to do meeting control on the touch screen. And we provide you a dedicated audio device, CP900, so you can use it as speaker and microphone, provide you a more immersive audio experience. And it can support a whiteboard feature, so you can annotate the content whiteboard on the touch screen directly. Anyone initiated the whiteboard in Teams PC client. So this is also quite easy to set up. Only 3 cables required: 1 network cable, 1 HDMI cable, then 1 optional USB cable. Then let's talk about the MTR solution. So Yealink also have different option for different meeting room space. Let's look at the Fox and small room. For the Fox and small room, provide you the MVC 300 package. It comes with a mini PC and a touch console. For the mini PC, it comes with Windows 10 IoT and Teams room system application. For the touch console, you can easily do meeting control, join a meeting, and do presentation, and do camera control on the touch console directly. Then for the huddle room space, we provide you a 4K digital camera, UVC30. It can support auto framing. Then we provide you the same audio device, CP900, as the speaker and the microphone. So after the setup, you can see the table experience is quite tidy. Then let's move to the small and the medium room space. We provide you the MVC 400 package. It also comes with a mini PC and the touch console. They are the same. The difference here is we provide you an all-in-one USB camera. For this USB camera, it comes with a 4K digital camera and 8 times digital zoom camera. It can support automatic privacy shutter. So once the meeting starts, it can automatically turn on its camera. Once the meeting finished, it can automatically close the camera. So very good to protect your privacy. And it comes with 8 beamforming microphone, which can support up to 5 meters voice pickup. It can also support auto framing, so can make sure everyone in the meeting room is being covered. Another great feature here is it can support speaker checking, so you can focus on the active speaker, so no need to manually change the camera by yourself. Moving to the small and the medium room space, we provide you the MVC 500 option. It comes with 5 times optical zoom camera, which can also support auto framing, and we provide you 2 standard wireless microphone. Each one of the wireless microphone can provide you up to 3 meters voice pickup. For the larger meeting rooms, you can add extra 2 wireless microphone, so you can use up to 4 wireless microphone at the same time. Looking at the medium and the large meeting rooms, we provide you the MVC 800 solution. It comes with a 12 times optical zoom camera, and we provide you 2 wired microphone. Each one of the wired microphone can provide up to 6 meters voice pickup. For larger meeting rooms, we can provide, you can add extra 2 wired microphones through cascading or daisy chain to extend the voice pickup distance. So it's quite flexible for Yealink solution to add more microphones for different user scenario. And right now, for most of the schools and university, they are doing remote education. So Yealink also have our own solution here. We can support multi-camera solution. So with Yealink solution, we can support up to 9 cameras at the same time, and you can easily change the camera layout on the touch console directly. You can easily set the camera layout as full screen, select any of the camera to be displayed in full screen, or you can select equal layout, display all the camera in equal layout, or you can select 1+N layout, so you can display one of the camera in the main screen, the other stays in the corner. And we provide you dedicated camera hub to do image processing. That's why you will be able to change the camera layout on the touch console directly. So with Yealink solution, we provide you a standard package to support multi-camera solution. Yeah.
Just before we move on there, guys, we just got a question from James Brennan.
Yes.
James, you've got your hand up.
Sorry, guys, that was just to answer the question earlier.
Okay, cool. No worries.
Legacy hand.
Okay, so we move on.
Okay.
Yep, go for it.
Okay, so Yealink is trying to deliver an easy to deployment solution to the customer. So we designed the mini PC by our own. So you can see we integrated the mini PC with the cable management directly. So customers can easily secure all the cables behind the mini PC. No need to prepare dedicated cable management box. And with Yealink solution, we also trying to simplify the cable deployment. So with Yealink solution, we just require 1 cable to be deployed from the TV area to the table. So on this picture, you can see only 1 Cat 5e cable is required to be connected to the touch console. So you can providing power for the touch console for the audio device. You have no need to prepare the independent power adapter for touch console or for audio device. Then on the touch console, it comes with USB Type-C interface. So you can use this interface for wired content sharing. We can support both USB Type-C and HDMI connection for wired sharing. Then there's dedicated USB interface on the touch console. It can connect with your audio device. So no extra USB cable required to be connected from a mini PC to the table for audio connection. So we simplified the deployment with 1 Cat 5e cable connection for the touch console, for the audio device, and for wired sharing. And for large meeting rooms, this Kit 5E cable can support up to 40 meters. So it's very easy to do extension in large meeting rooms, and will provide you a much tidy and clear table experience with this one Kit 5E cable deployment solution. So we're not just providing easy to deploy solution, we're also trying to provide an easy to use solution. So for the touch console, it not just comes with USB Type-C interface, it also comes with built-in Wi-Fi access point. It can generate Wi-Fi by itself. So we provide you a dedicated Teams wireless presentation dongle. You just need to connect it to the touch console USB interface. Then you can pair it with the Wi-Fi. There is an indicator in the back. So once the indicator turns solid green, which means it's paired to the Wi-Fi, then you can connect this dongle to your laptop. Then one click to share. There's no software or driver required to be installed on your PC. Right now, we can support both Windows and Mac OS. So you can easily share it from your PC without HDMI or Type-C cable connection. We can support up to 4 wireless presentation dongle at the same time, so you have no need to pass it one by one in large meeting rooms. And you can easily switch from wired presentation to wireless presentation. Yeah. Okay, let's move on. Another key point I'd like to share here is about the support. So Yealink can provide us a whole package for all the MTR solution, including voice, video, and USB accessories. So when you require support, you just need to deal with Yealink and our partners. And for Yealink solution, we'll provide you up to 2-year free warranty for this package, and it can be upgraded up to 5 years. Within this warranty, any hardware issue, we can provide advanced replacement in 48 hours in working day. So we are not just providing a hardware solution here, so we're also providing device management solution to help our customers to do device management. So Yealink has our own device management solution, including on-premise version and the cloud version. So all the Teams device from Yealink, including handset, room systems, and the USB accessory, can be managed by Yealink device management portal. So you can easily monitor and upgrade the firmware, change the configuration, and even do remote diagnosis for all of your device from Yealink. So a quick summary about Yealink solution. We can offer a one-stop solution, including voice, video, and device management to cover all the demandings and the user scenarios from customer side. Secondly, we are trying to offer an easy-to-use solution, including wireless presentation, wireless microphone solution to the market. Thirdly, we provide an easy-to-deployment solution to the market with one cable deployment from TV to table. So the simplified the deployment experience for our customer. The last but not least, Yealink has a global presence. We have more than 140 distributors globally, so we can cover global support if you have demanded in different countries. Then let's talk about Yealink product roadmap for the video portfolios. Right now, we already have the VC210 and our MVC series released. In next month, September, just one week away, so we are going to release a new Teams collaboration bar A20. For this A20, there are some key features I'd like to highlight here. So it will support 1080p video, so you can enjoy full HD video with the Teams collaboration bar. Right now, as we know, for the current collaboration bar solution, it can only support 720p. So this will be optimized. With Yealink A20, you can get full HD video. And with Yealink A20, you can also support dual displays. We can support 2 HDMI output. And right now, with current collaboration bar solution, it doesn't support HDMI ingest. So this will also be addressed with Yealink A20 solution. We can support both HDMI and USB Type-C connection. So you can use this interface for wild presentation. Then Yealink will also bundle the A20 with a touch console. So we will provide you an MTR-like touch console experience. You will be able to join a meeting. You will be able to invite participants, and you can easily type the contacts on the touch console. So provide you a real touch console experience. So this will be available in September. If you have any demanding with this A20, you can shoot emails to us. We can reserve this device for you in advance. Yeah. Then in early of next year, we are going to release a new model of MTR solution, MVC600 for medium room space. For this package, it will come with a more powerful camera and speaker. You will be able to support speaker tracking with dual camera, and the speaker will support Microsoft Cortana. You can leverage the speaker to make call directly through Cortana. Okay, time for our second question. So which of below features will be supported on A20? Are you ready to answer?
Okay.
So 3, 2, 1. Let's find who is the first one to.
It's yeah, I think you can share the answers first. So the first one is Paul. Sorry about the long family name. Power is you.
Okay, yeah. Congratulations. So you got one. You get 1 year success from Yealink. Yeah. So next part, we are going to introduce the Yealink partner programs with you. I will hand it to Miki.
Yep. So yeah, for the partner program, we prepared for Australia all partners, mainly from 3 parts. First is about the seeding program. So the idea is actually no matter for your inside lab room or for your internal use, from Yealink part, we are aiming to provide a big discount, like 50 to 60% off for the demo support. And in case of any project need any trial gears and or some projects that you may need some POC offer POC units with discounts from Yealink side, we also can provide up to 4 weeks long gear or up to 50% off for each project, 2 models eligible. Yeah, so this is from the demo perspective. And from the sales resources part, first, what we can offer is the first-hand information. For quarterly, we are holding the webinar to share the first-hand roadmap and the new product release, this kind of information. And the second part, we also have a very practical tool called ORS. I have listed the website here. Going through this website, with the project registration, Yealink can provide extra project pricing support and also project protection up to 3 months to make sure everything, the resources for project support is in place. So this is not only price support, but also protection tool. And based on case-by-case project, we customer may require for extending warranty, but with also budget concern. So for this kind of project, we are also, Yealink is also open for discussion if you need this kind of support on warranty or on the platform, the two versions, YDMP or YNCS license support, case by case. You just come to Yealink and discuss. From the service part, right now we are doing 3 levels of support from Yealink. First level is from Yealink directly. We go through all the supporting through ticket license, which will be supported by Tong directly within 24 hours. And the second part will be go through our local disties. Right here, I think we have Alloy computer and Mia distribution and Ingram Michael. So our local 3 disty will support locally, same as usual. The last the level 3 is enterprise on-site support, which we request for the extra charge for the level 3. So all the level 1 and level 3 as usual is free of charge, and for level 3 if you require for on-site and a special tight and super urgent this kind of support, it's a little bit charged. Yeah, so here is the ORS registration system. The process is to go to website, register and approve in 48 hours. So it's being valid and protected from Yealink. No. Okay. So the last lucky draw. So you guys, do you know what's the Yealink deal registration tool? Okay.
Keep in mind, Yealink, that not everybody on this call is a partner. We have direct customers as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so this is because this system is also open for every partner or clients, so it's okay. So we have the first one. Oh, Paul again. Paul, I think we can share this opportunity with the second one.
I think so.
Yeah, Paul, you're again. So the second one, I would like to share this this prize with Sam. With Sam.
Sam, did you? Congratulations.
Congratulations. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Share the love.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
So here is the presentation from Yealink side. Any questions you have? Yeah, we can do a live Q&A. Yeah.
Guys, I really appreciate you taking the time to take us through your portfolio. That was great. I just wanted to quickly just share one slide that I probably didn't spend enough time on, and you covered off on in your deck as well. And that was around these additional capabilities that are coming to Collaboration Bar. So these are quite important to both Yealink and Polly, who both are doing Collaboration Bars at the moment. But some of the additional capabilities that are being added on, bringing 3x3 video to Collaboration Bar deployments, the 1080p, which the team at Yealink has just gone through, dual screen support, wired HDMI input support. There's also something called personal mode, which is going to make it easier to use these devices as your personal device at home, which we're seeing a lot more of during COVID and whatnot. And also improving that touchscreen display, making it look and feel a little bit more like an MTR experience, Microsoft Teams Room experience. So really looking forward to seeing that across the Collaboration Bars, including the ones that we just saw from our friends at Yealink.
Yeah, thanks, Damien. Yeah, so to be honest, yeah, so Yealink solution will support the A20. We have the A20 and released in next month. So actually, we will be at least 1 quarter ahead than the other vendors to support the 1080p full HD. dual display, HDMI ingest, and real touch experience. Yeah.
Okay, great. Good to know. Any other questions for Yealink or any other general questions while we wrap up?
I'll ask a question, Damien. You gave us a presentation about the, all the changes early on, and you outlined the pop-outs. I was just wondering about live events and whether or if they're coming as well.
Yeah, sure. So it's currently in tap. So eventually we'll also see live events pop out of the main Teams client.
Great, thanks.
Anybody else? No? Well, look, if there's no other questions, thanks everybody for coming along today. It was a great turnout. I will send out a link to the slide decks as I usually do. Yealink, if you're happy to share that deck with me, I can share that out to the user group as well, so if people have got a reference. Any questions or queries, please feel free to reach out to myself or James or anybody else that you've heard from today. And we will be arranging the next user group for November. And I assume that it will still be an online event. And I'd like to think that even once we do have the ability to meet in person, we will still have the online component moving forward. So it's been really good to be able to bring people in from all around the world, as we have today, as well as people that are just located in Melbourne. And thanks to the Queensland bunch for joining us today as well. Thanks, everybody. I'll give you the rest of your evening back. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good evening.
You too. Bye.